He is the most evil influencer to ever exist, and if you don't know why, here are 5 reasons why everyone hates David Dobrik. First is almost friend for content. Second is R-wording a girl. For content, David wanted to film his friend having his first threesome. David isn't naturally funny, so he has to rely on bullying people for cheap laughs, so he is homophobic. One Vlog Squad member said David's bullying was so bad he wanted to off himself.
I make fun of you for your disability all the time.
Glad that your dwarf jokes could buy you this house.
His essay doesn't stop there, because then he tricked his religious straight friend who comes from a community where homosexuality is not okay. Fifth, ex-Vlog Squad members will say David was someone who doesn't care about them, will exploit them, and then will kick you out of the group right when you don't do what he says.
David's podcast sounds like a TED Talk hosted by a frat boy with a ring light and zero guilt. Let's be real, watching David Dobrik's podcast in 2025 feels like you accidentally clicked on a parody skit and then realized, nope, this is just his actual personality now.
David, I want you to stand up with me today.
See, I knew it was like a money thing for you.
I want you to call the agency right now. I want you to call Rhett and see where it is.
Who's Rhett?
Rhett is our contact at the agency.
All right, give me the phone.
Okay.
You want me to call because you haven't been paid?
Yeah, I used to work for
He emailed back. Did you read the email?
Yeah, he doesn't know where the payment is.
Yeah.
Every episode is like a masterclass in how to sound emotionally unavailable while laughing at your past crimes. He jokes about lawsuits like they're fun anecdotes, and the worst part? His co-hosts nod along like he just dropped life-changing wisdom. I didn't mean to hurt anyone, he says while casually sipping a $10 latte in his Bel Air mansion. What happened to the guy who used to pretend to care? At least fake remorse used to be part of the script. Now it's just vibes and victimhood. His new content is basically a remix of Trauma with a laugh track. It's like the emotional version of Gaslight, Gatekeep, Girl Boss, except it's minimize, monetize, move on. And can we talk about how tone-deaf the whole thing feels? In a world where creators are actually growing up and owning their mess, David's still acting like cancel culture is just a meme. I'm just a kid who made mistakes, he says, bro. You're pushing 30 and dodging accountability like it's a game of dodgeball. The vibe is giving. Podcast bros who've never been told no. It's an echo chamber of ego, where empathy goes to die. If you came for growth, you're in the wrong building. David's podcast isn't a comeback, it's a confession booth with a laugh track. If delusion was a tax bracket, David Dobrik would be in the top 1%. The man went from handing out Teslas to acting like everyone else is just lazy for not having a multi-million-dollar brand deal. In one podcast, he straight up wondered why people don't just try harder, as if the rest of us have a direct line to SeatGeek in a mansion full of content slaves. Let's not forget, this is the same guy who made his empire off pretending to be one of us. The pizza delivery guy turned YouTube millionaire who made us believe friendship was currency until he cashed out and ghosted empathy like it owed him money. Now he's sipping espresso and saying things like, "It's not that hard, guys," from a living room with ceilings higher than our ambitions. You know what's really rich? The audacity. David's entire personality now screams Silicon Valley intern who just discovered capitalism. He talks like he built a business from scratch, when in reality, he built it from prank videos, problematic power dynamics, and sponsors who liked his dimples. And the way he weaponizes cluelessness is next level. He's not even malicious, just cosmically unaware. It's like watching a golden retriever give a TED Talk on inflation. He genuinely doesn't get it, and that makes it worse. At this point, calling the Vlog Squad toxic is like calling lava warm. David Dobrik's entourage isn't just problematic, it's a walking, talking PR hazard. And instead of doing damage control or evolving, these dudes are out here still laughing like it's 2017, and Trauma never trended. Seriously, how are these still the people David chooses to surround himself with? It's giving high school reunion energy, except they never graduated, they never grew, and somehow they're still stuck trying to convince us that peer pressure is content. The same clout chasers, yes men, and chaos gremlins that helped him rise are still orbiting him like he's the influencer son, but this solar system is one scandal away from collapse. The real kicker? Every time someone from the squad speaks publicly, they sound like they've been cryogenically frozen since the Vine era. No accountability, no therapy, just ring lights and the emotional intelligence of a soggy sandwich. It's nostalgia with a side of gaslighting. And David? He enables it. He thrives in the chaos because the chaos makes him look normal by comparison. Even after sexual misconduct allegations, violent pranks, and public backlash that would have ended any other influencer, this group keeps showing up like bad habits that refuse to get canceled. They're not a content crew. They're a cautionary tale with merch. The Jeff Wittek situation is not some petty influencer beef. It's a real, raw, life-altering injury. And David Dobrik treated it like a blooper reel. Jeff almost died doing a stunt for David's vlog. He got on that crane, trusting his friend, and left it with a shattered skull and an eye barely hanging on. The internet held its breath. David, he hit record. And when the backlash came, David whipped out his favorite filter, crocodile tears. He released a carefully edited apology video that looked more like an Oscar reel than remorse. And then he went radio silent. No check-ins, no public support, no real healing. Just silence and a PR team working overtime. Jeff, to his credit, gave David grace. Too much grace. But when he finally snapped, he did what David never expected. He told the truth. And that truth? It made David look less like a misunderstood creator and more like a clout-fueled puppet master who only cares when the views dip. The worst part? David still tries to play the oops card. I didn't know it would be that bad. Bro, you put your friend on a construction crane with zero safety, no helmet, and the emotional awareness of a toddler. This wasn't a prank. It was a lawsuit waiting to happen, and it did. If there's one thing David has perfected better than a jump cuts, it's the art of self-pity. Every time he gets dragged, exposed, or rightfully flamed online, he pulls the same move. Lower the voice, widen the eyes, drop a "I'm just trying to be a good person," and wait for the sympathy floodgates. And guess what? It used to work, but not anymore. David's weaponized softness is his ultimate defense. He doesn't scream, he doesn't fight, he just wilts. He plays confused. "Wait, what did I do wrong?" he'll say, in between laughing about the time he let his friends get humiliated on camera. He turns every scandal into a therapy monologue where he somehow becomes the wounded one. And the audience used to eat that up like it was pizza on a private jet. But now, people see the pattern. The tears feel fake. The timing is suspicious. The apology videos come out right before new content drops. He's not healing, he's performing. He's turned damage control into a brand aesthetic. Sad boy millionaire with a ring light is not a personality, it's a playbook. And don't forget the subtle guilt trips. "I just want to make people laugh. I never meant harm." It's so hard being misunderstood. Meanwhile, his critics are called haters, and the victims? They get background music and fade-out edits. Every time David's name trends for all the wrong reasons, guess what drops the next day? A brand deal, a podcast, a new product launch. Man's got drama to content conversion down to a science. He doesn't just survive scandals, he milks them like they're part of the business model. Some influencers pray they don't get canceled. David? He treats backlash like a marketing strategy. Here's how it plays out. First, he does something wild like, say, endangering a friend or being casually misogynistic for the bit. Then, once Twitter erupts, he hits record on a raw, unfiltered podcast episode. Maybe he throws in a few tears, maybe a dramatic pause, but always a sponsor read. This trauma was brought to you by BetterHelp. I mean, come on. It's no longer just tone deaf, it's calculated. Every misstep is followed by a monetized moment. Every controversy becomes a content cycle. He gets views from apologies, sympathy from stans, and cash from controversy. David Dobrik doesn't apologize, he uploads. And his fan base? It's split between people waking up and people still sipping the Kool-Aid. But even the critics are part of the machine. Hate watching his content only boosts the algorithm. Every quote tweet fuels the next ad check. David doesn't care if you love him or hate him, as long as you're watching. Once upon a time, David Dobrik was everyone's internet boyfriend, goofy, fast-talking, and always surrounded by chaos. But now, the vibe has flipped harder than a Jeff Wittick stunt. Scroll through his latest videos, and the comment section is a graveyard of nostalgia and disillusionment. "I used to love him, but" is the new anthem. And that "but," it's louder than his laugh track. And what's wild is that he still thinks he can come back the same way he left, smiling, shrugging, hoping we forgot. But the internet has receipts. And Gen Z doesn't do fake anymore. The culture changed. David didn't. He's not the relatable guy next door anymore. He's the guy people bring up when teaching influencer ethics in media classes. Is David Dobrik just a product of YouTube's golden era or the poster child for what happens when fame grows faster than maturity? Is it time to cancel the redemption arc, or are you still holding out hope for a miracle PR rebrand? Smash that like button if your tolerance for fake apologies is officially maxed out. Subscribe if you want more savage breakdowns with zero sugarcoating. And don't forget to share this with the one friend who still thinks David's not that bad. Let's end that fantasy today. Because one thing's for sure, the vlog might still be rolling, but the respect, cut.